Hi, this is Angela Cox and I'm going to show you how to cut out your bear. First of all, before you begin, you want to make sure that you have all of your materials. You need your fabric, you need some pins, you need a pattern, you need some paper scissors, and then you need some fabric scissors. Okay, so first we're going to start with cutting out your bear along the solid black line. So you got to cut out your pattern all along the solid black line. Okay, so my pattern's all cut out on the solid black line, and I have this extra paper for my pattern. I want to keep a little bit of it just to store like my pins and my needles so I don't lose it. The rest of it can be thrown away or recycled. Now I am ready to lay out my pattern, right? So I'm going to start. You should have 2 pieces of fabric from Miss Cox, or you might have 1 long piece of fabric like this. Doesn't really matter, right? And if you look at my teddy bear, it says right here, you have this line that says place on the fold. So step number 1 is we need to fold our fabric. So I'm going to take my fabric and I am going to fold it in half lengthwise like this, right? And it doesn't matter if you have the fuzzy side out or the fuzzy side in. It doesn't really matter. I like the fuzzy side in because these little fuzzies get everywhere and they annoy me, right? So near the top of my fabric, and you can kind of see how my you can kind of see how it goes over a little bit. That's fine, right? But anyway, near the top of my fabric, I am going to take my bear and I'm going to put this right on the fold, right? Put it right on the fold, right? And it's okay if it goes over a little bit, but I don't want it like this, right? I want it right on the fold, right here like this, right up against it. And make sure it's the folded edge, not this cut edge, right? I'm going to put it right up against the fold, just like that. And then I want to make sure that I have it all the way on the fabric at the top, right? So I'm going to move them down a little bit. And then I am going to pin the fold first. And when I pin, I'm going to take this and I'm going to poke it all the way through, and then I'm going to flip it and poke that other side right up so that I can see right here that I have my pin. I can see the ball end here and I can see the sharp end here, right? And I'm going to put at least 3 pins inside this fold, right? One in the middle, just like that. Then put 1 right here. And again, make sure it goes all the way through the fabric. And then I need to see the sharp end at the top, like that. Okay? And then I'm just going to pin it all along the breast. And see how this goes over a little bit? That is okay. That's okay, because we can trim that later. Right? Poke it in, and then push it up, just like that. And do you see how my pin right here is going outside? That's not okay, right? I need my pin to be all the way on the pattern. It can be right at the edge, but not, it has to be all the way on it, right? And then I'm going to pin it on this side. I think this will kind of give me an idea of where I go over a little bit, push it up. Then I'm going to pin the arm through here. And I'm going to pin the ear. Now, at this point, I should stop. Once I get this pinned on, I should stop and I should ask someone to look at my pattern. Make sure that it is pinned on correctly, right? If you're in class with me, you can say, hey, Miss Cox, can you check my pattern? And you can turn on your camera so that I can see it. If you're cutting it out at a time that's not in class, you can take a picture and email it to me. If you're sitting in the classroom with me, then you'll be like, hey, Ms. Cox, take a look at this. But you want to make sure to show this to someone to make sure that this is on the fold, right? Because any mistake that you make while we are sewing, we can fix, except for incorrectly cut fabric, right? So now I'm going to take my pattern right here and I'm just going to cut right along the edge, just like this, right? Cut it out this way. I'm going to go in and cut this out. Gonna go this way and cut him out. And yours, hopefully you'll have all the fabric there, but it doesn't really matter. We can trim him up, he'll be super cute. Alright. We'll take this and cut it out. And see how I missed a little bit right here? I need to cut that too, right? And then we'll take this off, all these pins out, and put them somewhere. Don't leave your pins laying around, especially if you have pets or if you have younger brothers or sisters at your house, or if you like to go barefoot in your room because, you know, it'll hurt you. And you can kind of see here, like, cut off a little bit here, but that is okay. We can trim those up to be nice and round. Okay? And then I need another one. I need 2 teddy bears, right? So I'm going to take the rest of my fabric and I'm just going to do it again. And again, make sure that the place where it says place on the fold, that needs to go on the fold, right? And put it right up against that fold. That's really important. I'm going to put it 3 times on the fold and then once on every extremity, right? Once here. And when I pin, it's really, really, really important that I pin him so that I poke all the way through so I can see the pin on the flip side and then flip it back up, right? I should be able to see the pins on the top and the bottom, right? And the pins should not go over like this, like it can't be out here. It has to be inside, because if I do that, then when I cut, it's going to run into my scissors. That would be bad. Alright, so here I go. I have them all on there. Okay, so here we go. And then I'm just going to take my fabric and I'm going to cut him all the way around. Right? I don't know why I always like to start here. And it's really important to not cut the fold. Sometimes people want to cut down the middle here. Do not cut that fold. Right? I'm just going to cut right around the edge. It's a little bit easier to cut if you leave this down on something hard. Put my pins away. And I'm all done with my pattern. You can keep it to sew another bear at some other time, or you can toss it, right? We're done with it. Now, here's my teddies, and you can see my 2 teddies. So what I'm going to do is I want to make sure that these teddies match. And when these teddies are matching, I want to put the fuzzy sides together, right? Because I want them to be exactly the same. I want them to match perfectly, right? And then I want to trim these arms and little areas like that. So I'm going to pin it together, and I'm going to start right here where his legs come together, right here at his midpoint right there. Then I'm going to pin him here. Again, make sure I get him all the way through. And I'm going to pin him here, go down and back up. And then I'm just going to trim to make sure these match, right? Because I want both of them to look the same. Right? They should both look the same. Okay? I'm going to pin over here too. And the top of the head is a really important part. Okay? And on the ears. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to go through and make sure that they all match. Right? So I have them on here. You can see on this side I have some fabric hanging over. When I flip them over on this side, they don't quite line up. Right? So I just want to trim them so that they match. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go around this way to trim off that extra. Right? I'm going to go over here. See, this part doesn't match. I'm going to flip that on the other side. I'm going to trim this a little bit. I don't like how my arms are square right here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to round those out a little bit, and actually I might make my arms go in a little bit like this. Cut this way, I'm so right-handed. Just trim him. Then I want this side to look like that, so I'm going to flip it over this way. And let's see, I got a little bit here, right there. So I'm just going to trim in. Just want to make sure cut it pretty quick. It's not perfect. I just want to trim them so that they look the same. I'm going to round these out a little bit. And it's fine if you want to leave them square. Whatever you want to do, it just needs to be the same. Right? Sure there. Now, whenever I get to these ears, right, notice how they don't notch in very much. Something that's really important to do is make sure that your little ears notch in right under here. So I'm going to cut that. Cut here. I want my ears to look like ears and not just like a straight line across his head. So I'm going to go there. Just going to notch those ears out a little bit. So see, now it looks like he has an ear. That's what I want. I want it to look like an ear. See, and I could even maybe notch it a little bit more. See how that looks different than this one? You don't take off very much fabric, just like a little triangle of it. Now he has a pointy head, so I want to trim that. I don't want him to have a cone head. Alright, so I got that. Might flip them over to this side again. You want them to look at both of the sides. You want those two sides to match. Right? And you can see I got over a little bit here. Like it a little bit in more. And just trim them up. So that he has nice notchy out ears that are nice and notched out so that you can tell that they're ears. And then if you want the arms rounded, you want to do that too. Right, trim off this extra. And remember, when you're cutting, you can always cut more fabric if you want, but once you cut the fabric, you can't put it back. So just be careful, right? So I think here I got my teddy. Let's see, do I like him? Yeah, I think he's cute, right? So my teddies are, now I can remove the pins, make sure I put my pins away, and then my teddies are all